Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Due to COVID-19, Committee of Adjustment public hearings are being conducted virtually by electronic means through WebEx webinar, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx webinar, which is moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. My name is Isaac Laluz, and the members with me today are Ms. Satarodi, Ms. Manning, Mr. Hunt, and Mr. Khan. City staff moderating the platform are Simon Lamb, who is the Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Brandon Clapp, and Alice Chu. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by computer, tablet, smartphone, and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time, and we ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelists when your item is called. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your allocated time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. Committee for Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Members of the public and applicants are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist's role if you fail to respect this instruction. The land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provision of the zoning bylaw, permission to extend or alter legal non-conforming uses, and consent to sever properties to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email only. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto local appeal body known as TLAB, or in some limited circumstances, to the Ontario Lands Tribunal OLT. However, the provincial government recently amended the Planning Act and generally removed the rights of third parties to appeal Committee for Adjustment decisions. As of November 28, 2022, only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and special persons and public bodies, as termed in the defined Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure will be as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. When an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if they want. When the committee does not require presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter directly for decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when the 5-minute mark is reached. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address, and please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised, to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals, either in support or in opposition, will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker at the end of their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant has a chance to address only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will be taken into committee for decision. Now, for this afternoon session only, members and staff, any conflict of interest to declare? No? Okay. Now we have a couple deferrals here. We have item number 29, which is 146 Willowdale. Item 29. And here we have Michael Sidiolo. Michael Sidiolo, are you there? This is for application 146 Willowdale. 146 Willowdale Avenue. And here we have the agent registered as Michael Sidiolo. Or Sidilo.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah. Sir, can you please state your name and address, please?
Yes, Michael Cedillo, 10 Morrison Street, Toronto.
Thank you. You're, as I understand, you're asking for deferral. Could you tell us the reason, please?
Yes, that's correct. We're requesting a deferral due to a small error that was on the public notice, which was mailed out.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. To do what?
There was an error on that.
Oh, error. Okay,
notice,
thank
which
you.
was mailed.
Okay, to correct the, okay, very good. Okay, we don't have anybody else registered here. And members, we don't have any other registered, just the agent, and they're asking for deferral. Please, Ms. Tarodi, please, go ahead.
Yes, to you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to defer this application sine die so that the application can be revised and
Correct.
recirculated.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Hunt seconding, all in favor? Okay, so your application is deferred sine die, so please check with the staff when it's coming back. Now, the next one we have, the next one that's a request for deferral is number 33, which is 22 Prestwick. Application number 33. 33, and let's see who's here. Okay, here, Andre Grisolia. (22) Prestwick, Andre Grisolia.
Good afternoon, members of the
Hi.
committee.
Yeah, could you state your name?
My name is Andre Grisolia, 8 Fremont Crescent. We are requesting a deferral in order to have full support of planning regarding the height of dwelling. So
Okay.
we'd like to go in and redesign the roof.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're asking for deferral to discuss with planning. Okay, now
Right.
we have two more speakers here and we have to call them. Karen Spears, are you there? Karen Spears.
Yes, I am.
Could you please state your name and address for us?
Aaron Spears, 85 Cresthaven Drive, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, so you heard the agent is asking for deferral which means we're not going to discuss it today if we approve the deferral. You're okay with that?
I just have a question. Okay, I just have a question here. The city planner put out their notice of statement, and I'm concerned about the setback.
We're not.
That they
we're
did not-
Excuse me. We're not discussing it at all. Nothing. All we're discussing now is the time for deferral, which we're deferring it today. Sunny day means it's going to come back again, and at that time we'll discuss anything about the deck and anything they were asking for. Okay. Today is just deferral. We're deferring it for them to discuss it with planning and do whatever they want to changes in the application. At that time, you'll come back.
What-
We'll be advised. You'll be advised again, and we'll come back again.
Okay, and will I be getting information regarding the deferral
You're
and
getting
the new date?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're going to be
Well-
it's going to be circulated, and you're going to be advised. Let me ask the staff, Mr. Secretary, is the notice goes back again, right?
If she received one the first time, she'll receive one in the second time. It's the same mail list.
Yeah. So the staff is confirming that if you got one today, for today, you'll get one for next one because they have your address. Okay?
Fine, yeah, because I setback in the rear yard, and
Again, we're not discussing because we can't listen to you. I'm sorry. We're not discussing it today at all. No back and no front. We're discussing just the timing of the deferral. So if we defer it today, you will be advised when it comes next time. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Now we have Mohsen Maduri and Marina Nityozov. Are you there? They're there? Oh, the owners. It said area residents. Yeah, okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, could you please state your name and
Yes.
address and tell us who you are, yeah?
Yes, my name is Marina Netiosov. I'm one of the owners at
Oh.
22 Prestwick Crescent.
Okay, so we're asking, your agent is asking for deferral. It's okay?
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Okay.
So I will also confirm that. Yes.
Very good. Okay, thank you. We'll see.
Thank you. Thank you.
Once we defer it, then you'll be advised again. Members, there is a request for deferral to discuss with the planning changes. Can I have a motion? Mr. Hunt. Mr. Hunt, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will propose that this application be deferred sine die on the request of the applicant.
Thank you. Second. Ms. Tarodi, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Your application, sir, your application is deferred sine die, and check with the staff when it's coming back.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Okay, now the first one this afternoon. Okay, first application this afternoon on the agenda is application number 18, which is 12 Roy Crest Avenue. And here we have Manuel Gillen. Are you there?
I am here, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. My name is Manuel Gillen of 30 Bertrand Avenue, and I am the agent for 12 Roy Crest.
Perfect. Now, we have here listed on the same application the owners. Are they going to be talking, or just you? Are you?
It will just be me.
Just you.
It will just be me, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Okay. All right, just hold 1 second, please. We may be, item 18, we may be able to see if we need the presentation. Okay, this is for a second-story addition, converting the attached carport to a garage. Only 4 variances. TRCA has no impact or no impact, no objection, and there is nothing else. Members, do we need a presentation here? No? Okay, sir, we don't need a presentation. Do you want to add something before we go to committee?
Mr. Chair, yes, I do. I actually have been recommended by the application technician to request for a deferral. But before doing so, I would like to make a small plea in this case, if I may. And it's just to give you some insight.
Excuse me.
subject-
If you're asking for deferral, we don't want to waste your time and discuss it. What's the reason for discussing for deferral?
Yes, so the subject property is under the TRCA jurisdiction. And as such, during the internal circulation of the project, the TRCA requested the zoning examiner to add a 6th variance, which was missing from his original zoning certificate. This was amended and sent out on March 13th. So our plea would be to see if we can allow this 6th variance to be part of this hearing, given that we have full support of the TRCA and planning and no opposition as well.
Okay, so the deferral reason is to discuss with TRCA and with the planning. That's fine. Okay, we don't have any. There is nobody here else who registered here. Yeah, no, there's nobody here, just the owners. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Members, okay. We have a
Yes.
we have a deferral request.
Yeah, just a confirmation that applicant mentioned on March 13, there was a conversation with the Toronto Region and Conservation Authority. We received a letter on March 14 from them, and then which was in our package on page 25. And at the end of this report, it said that they have no concern.
Yeah.
If I'm reading it, no objection,
No.
and that was the conclusion. And it was this letter had been issued one day after the day that applicant was mentioned.
Yeah.
The last sentence said.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That is correct. Yeah, the discrepancy is that the notice that was mailed out only contained 5 variances, and the TRCA requested the zoning examiner to add a 6th variance. I believe it was requested after the notices were mailed out.
Okay, yeah. That's Miss Atarodi. I read that one. It said TRCA, no impact, no objection. But then he said later on he was advised that there should be something else. So that's why he's asking to discuss with them and the planning. That is his request. So we don't have anybody else except him and the owners. So can I have a motion, please? Miss
I can, yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion, sine die, to defer this application so that the applicant can talk with the city staff and TRCA and add the additional variance that's required.
Thank you. Second? Second, Mr. Hunt, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, sir, your application is deferred sine die, so check with the staff when it's coming back.
Thank you.
Okay, application number 19, which is 14 Apollo Drive, application number 19. And here we have Ali Shakiri. Are you there?
Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. Good afternoon.
Thank you. This is for a new dwelling. We have only 2 variances. There's nothing else. I have nothing except 2 variances. Members, do we need a presentation here? No?
No.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Shakiri, we don't need any presentation. Do you want to add something before we move to committee?
No, nothing to add, sir.
Thank you. Okay, can I have Mr. Khan? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a straightforward 2 variance application, and I move that this application variances are minor, and this application be moved for approval.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Hunt, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Shakiri, your application is approved and there is no conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Application number 20, which is 7 Riceboro, application number 20. And here we have Mehdi Hosseini. Mehdi Hosseini, are you there?
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi. Your name and your address, please.
Mehdi Hosseini, I'm the designer and the agent on behalf of the owner, 201 Steeles Avenue, East, in Toronto, Ontario.
Okay. This is for a new dwelling. We have 6 variances. You're going to have to go through them. And staff report is asking to follow your suggestion of modifying number 1, number 6. And
Yep.
transportation has no objection, and forestry condition number 3. So could you please give us a presentation and cover the changes you want to make?
Yes, sir. Before I start the presentation, I'm going to go through the changes that we made. So minor variance number 1 is changed to 5 meter instead of 5.72 meters.
Okay.
And number 4, it's the coverage reduced from 32.2% to 32%. And number 6, which is the front yard setback, it's being actually increased from 7.61 meter to 8.33 meters.
Okay.
So, which was the recommendation from the planning department.
Yeah. Okay. I got them. I got number 1, 4, and
Yeah.
6. Okay. So please go ahead, make
Yes.
a small short presentation. And we can.
So as you see, most of these variances, like variance number 1 and variance number 5 and 6, number 6, they're related to the front yard setback. Most of the houses on this street on the north side, they all have between 6.5 to 7.5 meter setback. On the south side, on the adjacent of this property, we have 2 properties that they're sitting back on the 11.8 meters. So that's why we had that requirement based on the bylaw, the average of those setbacks from the adjacent buildings to apply to this property as well. We believe that, based on the planning of the city, because we have the other properties, which is next to the adjacent building on the right side, and then we have 4 or 5 houses that being already developed. And those ones, they have actually 7.5 meters front yard setback. So our belief was that this number was working with the planning of the street, and it would be better for the future development of those 2 buildings next to this property. But after we talked to the planning department and the planners, we respect their thoughts, because they are the planner that they're going to plan the city. So we respect that, and we actually increase the front yard setback. So we're pushing back the house closer to the number that they like. And for that reason, number 1 variance number is going to be changed. So it's going to be less of the projection of the porch. And number 6, which is the front yard setback, the number is going to increase. And also we do match 32%, which is a norm for this area. So we keep it at 32% for the coverage. And if there is any question from the members, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions? I have 2 hands at the same time. Can I please have 1 hand who wants to speak? Any question?
Okay.
Going,
Okay,
going once, going twice. Can I have
Ladies,
Okay.
go ahead. Ms.
you.
Atarodi, go ahead.
Okay, Miss
Thank you very much.
Miss Atarodi, please go ahead.
For you, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask a question. It's actually require clarification regarding the modification for variance 6. Mr. Hosseini mentioned that as per staff request, modify the front yard setback to 8.33. Staff required 9 meter, not 8.33. So just would like to get a clarification on variance number 6.
Yes, I understand that. But after we talked to the planner on the phone, she was mentioning that she wants that number to be close to 9 meters. So it wasn't that she wants exactly 9 meters. She said as much as we can push the house back. We don't want to ruin the backyard of this house, and we wanted to be, the owner actually wanted to be kind of similar to the new development on that street, which I believe on the planning perspective, it kind of makes sense that we being in a kind of aligned with the other properties that being already developed. If you're pushing it back to that number, we're going to be farther away. And then the two neighbors adjacent to us, when they redevelop their property, they're going to have the same issue as well. So that's our intake on it.
Okay.
I understand, but what we have written in front of us, the report dated on 13th of March 2023, is the number that they mentioned that they agree with you was 9 meter.
Yes.
So that's why I need a clarification.
Yeah, so I'd like to leave this to the committee members to make the decision. If you guys think that 9 meters is gonna work better, we are okay with that.
Well,
But in personal view of me, I think the 9 meters is really further away. So we have only of 60 centimeters difference, 70 centimeters difference here, from 8.33 to 9 meters. And
okay.
if you guys think that that's going to be something that you want to add it, we are okay with that
Okay.
change, and you can
Okay.
ask that to
Okay,
be 9
sir.
meters.
Okay, sir. If you guys want to change it, we don't negotiate here. You tell us what you want, change it to,
Yes, I
and we make a
understand that.
decision. You want to?
I totally understand.
Okay, so are you want to
So
stick to
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So you tell us, you don't leave it to us. If you want, I'll change it. You want to change it to 9, yes or no? And if not, we'll move on and we'll make the decision.
I understand that. So if you think, yeah, just make it 9 meters to keep the committee happy. But I'm going to tell you my personal opinion that 9 meters, it's not adjust with the planning system. But that's fine. You can just make it to 9 meters.
Okay, will make us so happy you said. I don't know. We'll be happy either way. Okay, so the gentleman, he wants to change it to 9 meters. So can I have a motion there? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve this application with the following changes. Modifying variance 1, the front yard platform encroachment to 5 meters. To modify variance 4 from 32.2% to 30% coverage. To modify
32%.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, 32%, 2% to 32%, not 30%.
Excuse me. He went in the middle of the motion. He's right. He's changed it to 32. That's exactly what you said before. So 32
Okay.
And next?
32, and to modify variance 6, the front yard setback from 7.61 meters to 9 meters. And also subject to
forestry.
Urban forestry.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
And that's it.
That's it. Yeah, the member was totally right. Okay, so that's what it said. Do I have a second? Can I have a second, please?
So I would like to do a friendly amendment. Are we considering to add the transportation condition as well?
Transportation said no objection.
Yeah.
Then I'll second it.
Thank you. So second, Ms. Satarodi, all in favor? Ms. Manning opposing?
I'm abstaining because I didn't hear the whole presentation.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so sir, your application is approved, subject to forestry and subject to those changes. Do you want me to repeat them or you got
Thank you.
You got them?
No, I got them. I got
Okay.
them all.
Thank
you.
you.
So
He said 32. Oh, him, yeah. Okay. 32. Yeah. The- Okay, application number 21, which is 282 Sandringham, application number 21. And here we have Glenn Robinoff. Are you there?
Yes, good afternoon. It's Glenn Rubinoff.
You'll have to repeat your name again and your address.
Yes, it's Glenn Rubinoff, Rubinoff Design Group, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto.
Thank you. So this is a 3-story dwelling, and staff report modify variance number 2, remove number per applicant, okay, and forestry and 1 letter of objection. Okay, now could you please go over the changes that you want to make?
Absolutely. So this was a technical 3-story, and we spoke with staff, we went through the changes, and we agreed to eliminate some variances and modify others. So let me start with variance number 2.
Okay.
Wall height. Wall height has been reduced from 8.23 to 7.95 meters.
Okay.
And variance number 3 is eliminated, and variance number 4 is eliminated.
Oh, okay.
So we're really just dealing with 2 variances. So we no longer have a 3rd-story variance.
Okay.
And variance number 3 is more related to the 3rd-story variance.
Okay.
So
3 and 4 are removed, and number 2 is changed to 7.95. Okay. So because we have another speaker here, therefore, oh no. Yeah, we have a speaker here, so therefore we need you to make a small presentation, and then we call them back.
Sure. So this is an application for a new home. If you look at the area map, we did our research before we started this project, and we looked at what was, the average. I mean, we basically have 2 variances before you today. One is lot coverage and one is wall height. As you can see from the map here and from other and some examples we have of homes in the area, lot coverage that we're requesting of 33.46% is well within what has been redeveloped in the area. And this is part of what our discussion was. The staff didn't have any concerns with regards to that. They simply asked us to adjust the wall height a bit, so we brought that down. We feel that this house is now very much in keeping with the size and heights and such. There's no overall height variance. It's just simply wall height, which is about 1.5 feet above the required for a 70% portion. The other thing I want to point out is the lack of variances related to length, side yard, building depth, anything like that. So it's really a fairly straightforward application, and I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, very good. We'll hear the other person. By the way, how did you manage to eliminate the 3rd floor?
It was a technical 3rd floor. The way we did it was technical means that.
I figured it was technical.
A few months ago, it wasn't a 3rd-story house. But because the cities redefined the definitions, we lowered the basement. By lowering the basement.
The basement was considered the basement was considered as 1st floor.
Basement was considered the 1st floor.
And therefore it was only technical. Okay, we have here Jared Stickle. Are you there? Jared?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you please state your name and address for us, please?
Sure. Jared Steckel, 280 Sandringham Drive.
Okay. You heard the presentation. You heard the changes they made. Do you still have any concern?
No concern at all. My reason for me being here is the initial notice that everybody got on the street had 3-story, and everybody was very concerned. The by with the amendments, and my job was just to make sure, representing the street, that that's what actually transpired. So I'm very satisfied.
Very good. Thank you for that. I guess
Thank you.
no questions. And
Nope.
okay, so Mr. Robinoff, you don't have to come back because there is no question to rebate. So members, any question for the speaker? If not, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Tarodi?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward the motion to approve this application with the following changes. Variance number 2, the proposed height of side exterior main wall is now 7.95 meter. Variance number 3, eliminated. Variance number 4, eliminated. Also would like to add the condition of the staff that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the revised east and west side elevation drawing submitted to the receive on March 10th, 2023, attachment number 1 and 2. Also would like to subject it to urban forestry.
Thank
report.
you. Thank you. Mr. Hunt is seconding. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Sir, your application is unanimously approved, subject to those changes and conditions.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Application number 22, which is 192 Randolph Road. 192 Randolph Road, application number 22. And here we have Michael Shirzatfar. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Michael Shirzatfar, and I'm the agent for the homeowners at 192 Randolph Road.
Okay, this is for a laneway suite, and all we have is 2 variances and nothing else. However, we have one person registered here, and therefore we have to ask you to make a presentation.
Fair enough. So we're proposing a laneway suite at the property here. We have 2 variances. One that is associated with the dormer size. We're requesting an increase in the dormer size. Given the size of the laneway suite we're proposing, it's quite modest in size. We're not actually proposing anything that's requesting any greater allowances with the size of the actual building itself. So in order for us to accommodate the stair landing, we just needed to increase the dormer size to be able to have the headroom space at top. Given the actual length of depth of the property, we don't meet the minimum requirement when it comes to soft landscaping. So the 2 variances are just strictly in relationship to landscaping in the rear yard and the dormer size.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so let's see what this person has to say. Pat Leahy.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, could you please state your name and address for us, please?
Yes, absolutely. It's Pat Leahy, and I'm at 315 Sutherland Drive, right across the laneway from this property.
Okay, so could you tell us what's your concern about these 2 variances?
Yeah, my concern overall is with the percentage of coverage, which I couldn't tell from the actual notice, and also the fact the laneway suite seems to be added after the house was constructed. And then thirdly, and most importantly, the new laneway suite would be overlooking my backyard immediately, and more specifically, overlooking my pool.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're the area president, right?
No, I'm a neighbor.
Oh, okay. So let's say if they remove these variances, they can still look over the pool, won't they?
Yeah, with the variances, but I never saw where they added a laneway suite. The house is constructed right now, and there was never a sign of any laneway suite until I got this notice for these variances.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, if they remove these two variances, they don't have to come to us. They can still go and build it if they didn't have these two variances. So looking over your pool is still be the same, isn't it?
If they already have approval for the laneway suite, regardless of the variance, yes.
Okay, all right. So we're looking at these variances and we'll take it from there. Any question for this speaker? So, Mr. Shizasfar, could you come back, please? And are you still there?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So please tell us what, after this comment, where do you want to go from here?
Well, as far as the actual proposed laneway, we are not triggering any variances associated with setback or the overall height of the proposed dwelling. And based on the new government guidelines with regards to laneway suites, we basically designed a laneway suite that meets the standards of what's required without triggering too many variances. So that's where our position would be on this.
Okay, thank you. Members, any question? If not, can I have a motion there, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, sir. I had the opportunity of listening to for and against. And variance number one, I'm a little bit concerned. The distance between the building and ancillary building is 62.34, and the requirement is 85%, which is far less. Variance number two, ancillary dormer width, 34.62, while the maximum is 30%. Both are not meeting the requirement of the zoning bylaws. Therefore, I move this application be refused.
Do I have a second? No. Can I have another motion then, please? Miss Tharodi?
Yes, to you, Mr. Chair. We're having an application with two variants, and I think those two variants are minor. Therefore, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with no other condition.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Hunt was first. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan is opposing. And sir, your application is approved and there is no conditions.
Thank you.
Application number 23, which is 80 Chelford Road, application number 23. And here we have Siamak Sani. Are you there?
Yes, hi.
Okay.
I'm here.
Can you please state your name and address for us?
My name is Siamak Sani. I am the architect and the agent for the owner, 80 Chelford Road. My address is 230 Connaught Avenue in Toronto, M2M1H5.
Thank you. So this is for a new dwelling. We have three variances, and staff report has a condition. Okay, and this is to build in a per site plan and the same conditions shown on transportation. So could you please, because we have one more person here to speak, we need you to make a short presentation.
Oh, okay. Well, we are proposing a one-story house, a bungalow basically, and asking for two variances.
Sir, yeah,
and,
for some reason, the sound is echoing. Could you please speak clearly in front of the mic, please?
Okay, sure. Is it better now?
Let's try.
Okay, yeah, we are proposing a one-story house at the area, and we are asking for basically two variances. The third variance is related to the front yard setback. And because we are a key lot and we have a neighbor that is setting back long, beyond what is the average in the area. So basically, I will talk to the staff, and we believe that this setback, we and the staff, we agreed on the number that we have there, basically within 8.6 meter to around 10 meters in different areas, because the house is not a straight line. So that would be it, basically. And also we are asking for the lot coverage, which is within the norm of the variances that I have gone through, the search that I have done, and it should be fine within the even much more than us they have asked and has been approved in that area. But the main thing that has been to be considered is this house is not a two-story house, so the mass and the shape would be just one-story bungalow for their living.
Okay, let's hear the other speaker, and then we come back to you. Okay, Mohammed Amigra Hashemi, are you there? Mohammed.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Could you please state your name and address?
Hi, my name is Mohammed Amir Qassimi. My address is 354 Cleveland Street, Toronto, Ontario.
Thank you. And tell us what's your concern about this application.
I have no concern. I am one of the owners and just participated in the session. And I'm satisfied with the presentation of my agent.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for this? So he has no concern, therefore we shouldn't have another discussion with the agent. Any question? No? If no question, can I have a motion then, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff has recommendations following conditions they put. The front yard setback be developed in accordance with the site plan drawings attached to this report. Therefore, I move this application be approved.
You're moving the application to be what? Refused?
Approved.
Approved. Thank you. Thank you. And no conditions. Can I have a second, please? Mr. Hunt, all in favor?
No condition.
The condition is the site plan.
Yeah, with conditions. Okay. Okay, Mr. Khan, could you please repeat your motion slowly and tell me what your condition has? They have to hear.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Surely, sir. I'm repeating.
Yes.
The recommendation from the staff, the front yard setback be developed in accordance with the site plan drawings attached to this report.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's what I read before. Okay, and second, you have second who? Mr. Hunt, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, sir, your application is approved, subject to the staff condition, which I read before. Condition develops per site plan, and so on. So that was number 33. You're welcome. Number 24, which is 122 Riverview. 124 Riverview. And here we have Francisco de Serra. Francisco de Serra, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, committee,
Yeah,
Chair.
yeah.
My name is Francesco de Serra from Franco Architects. I am acting as the agent on behalf of the owner.
Okay.
My address is 10320 Pine Valley Drive.
Okay. Now, what we have here, it's a new dwelling, 8 variances. Staff report recommend to refuse the application. And forestry, we have conditions, 2 letters of objections, and 1 letter of support. Now,
There should be 3 letters of support.
Okay. Now, we have...
Before we begin, we've taken the staff report under advisement and made some changes to our variances.
Okay, all right. Now, just a second. We have some more speaker here. Therefore, we need you to make a presentation and tell us first what changes do you want to make. Number of variants.
So,
changing it to...
can you put that screen again? It was... Sorry, second. Apologize. So on variance number 1, we are reducing our FSI to 0.7.
Okay.
And variance number 8, we are removing entirely.
Remove, okay. Any other change?
No, those are the changes.
Okay. Number 1 changed to 0.7 and number 8 is removed, and you can make your presentation.
Yes.
Please make your presentation.
If you could go to screen, if you go to slide 2 here, or page 2. Just to demonstrate how we're reducing our FSI, we've made some changes to the plan. The yellow is the reduction area. The biggest reduction is in the 3rd floor. You could scroll down, you could see that we've been able to reduce about 100 square meters, which translates to about 1,077 square feet. And that's to squarely address staff's comments about the size of the development. On page 3, we want to address the front yard setback, which is variance number 2. The front yard setback, the building is being placed exactly where the current building is to maintain the streetscape and to maintain the setbacks that the community has been used to. The house to the north has a side yard setback, keyed lot of 1.28. And the house to the south has a committee of adjustment approval, no approval. It has a setback of 6.19. And that's based off the average of the existing of our lot. So we are not moving closer to the street, we're maintaining. On page 4, running a little bit quickly here, this is the most tricky part of this proposal. Our frontage has a minimum frontage of 22.5, but we're short 10.32 meters on this. So we look to the city regulations to find how the city deals with narrower lots. And if they use a building standard of 12 to 15 meter frontage, we actually are comply on the north side, and we're asking for a 0.3 variance on the south. We would only be asking for a length variance. But after the 17 meters in building length, this zoning provision has a setback of 7.5 meters each side. And I don't blame staff. They have limited time to show you what it is, but the yellow area represents the 0.9 meter setback we're asking. The green is further stepped back 2.49, and the blue is stepped back to 4.02. And that's to respect the difference in zoning between our lots and the zoning of the lots to the north. They're all different zones in this area, but ours is very similar in scale and size to similar zones. If we can move to page 5, I want to quickly address the side walls, the height. The yellow triangles represent the gables that are above the sidewall. And this is just to give a bit of aesthetic to the northern properties again. A little bit of curb, a little bit something to look at, that we just did gables. It represents 4% of the wall. We have no issue with any decision being tied to our drawings, our plans, in any way, shape, or form. So we just want to really give you a scope of what we've done here to accommodate everybody. And if you go to page 6, this just gives you a sense of the property to the south that has the same zone and same size and scale. It's a bigger home south of us because their lot is a little bit bigger, but they are longer than us. And we set the house in a manner to try and, again, respect the 3 zones, because the yellow is one zone, the pink is another zone, and the white is a third zone in this area. On page 7, We are looking at staff comments or forestry comments. We don't know of any bylaw protected trees here. The yellow represent trees that are owned by other private trees, and the orange represent trees that are owned by our client. We have no issue with any decision being subject to urban forestry approval. With that said, I would like to answer any questions.
Okay, we'll come back to you after we hear the other speaker. A neighbor,
Okay.
Susan Beach, are you there? Susan Beach.
Hello.
Hi, could you
Yes.
please state your name and address, please?
Okay. My name is Susan Beach, 271 Snowden Avenue.
Oh.
My husband and I have lived. Hello?
Yeah, could you
Am I
please
clear?
tell us what's your concern?
Okay. My husband and I, Oliver McLeod and I, have lived in the neighborhood for many years. Our objection to this application is that the requested variances are not minor. This is outlined in our letter, so I'll keep this brief. Now, I realize a few small changes have been made, and I'm not on the webinar, and I can't evaluate that at this brief, short notice. But I noticed that planning and forestry both are objecting to this application. What I would like to draw the committee's attention to is the fact that almost all of the properties listed as supporting evidence for the request for the variances are not in our neighborhood. A couple of Riverview properties are mentioned, but these are very large properties, not just slightly larger, but much larger properties, where the variance request does not affect the neighboring property. The Snowden Avenue properties listed are about 3 blocks to the west, close to Yonge Street. As mentioned in the applicant's cover letter, our neighborhood is small with primarily detached family homes. They are not large, but are marked by their consistency in the protection of trees, gardens, and green space. Allowing variance permission based on properties not in our neighborhood puts that character at risk. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to understand what you're saying. You said these variances apply to some other property not in the area. We're talking about 122 Riverview. Isn't that what we're discussing here?
That is correct.
So for this property, those are the variances. I understand that you're opposed to the variances, but they belong to this property. As far as the trees,
Correct.
Okay, as far as the trees, unfortunately, we don't deal with them here. But they have to get the permission from the forestry, not here. We don't, it's not that it's not important, we just don't, it's not our function. So let's see, first of all, is there any question for this speaker? If not, we'll...
Mr. Chairman, if I could clarify.
Yes.
What I am trying to report is that in reading the application and the cover letter presented by the client, with each variance request, they have listed other properties where a similar or close to equal variance request has been granted in the past.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to draw attention to is that most of those listed properties are not in our neighborhood.
Oh,
it is a small, as I say, consistent neighborhood. That was the point that I was trying to draw attention to.
I think I understand what you're saying. Thank you. Francisco de Sierra, could you please return here and address the concern of this neighbor?
Mr. Chair, I believe we have one more speaker that registered late.
Oh, I have only this one. Is there a new one?
I believe it's Frank Nicholson.
I'm here. It's Frank Nicholson, 275 Snowden Avenue.
Okay, can you hold 1 second, please?
Certainly.
This is 24. All I have here is that a new one just came up now? Okay, okay. You just registered now. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, please. Please, your name and address for us, please.
So my wife and I were longtime residents of My name is Frank Nicholson, and with my wife Ann, we're both longtime residents of 275 Snowden Avenue.
Okay, and what's your concern?
Well, we don't pretend to be urban planning experts, and to be honest, we're not here today because of the direct impact that we think this proposal would have on the use of our own property, because we're kind of catty corner. We're not one of the Snowden properties right behind. But our main concern, and the reason we have asked to speak today, is the precedent that would be set for future development in our neighborhood if all of the so-called minor exceptions to the zoning bylaw were approved. Now, obviously, there have been these last-minute changes, and I'm just assuming, and perhaps you could clarify this, that we'll be given an opportunity to review the changes, and the matter will not go forward at this meeting, but will be deferred to a future meeting. So I guess that's a question. But as well, I guess I would only add, whatever the committee does approve, we would appreciate it if you would provide an explanation of why you consider these variances as minor rather than major. But maybe that sounds a bit presumptuous. I don't know. In any event, that is the contribution that my wife, Diane, and I wanted to make today, and we thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Yeah, we make decisions based on the four tests of the Planning Act, and we do not go back and say we approve this one because everything was approved based on the presentation here and the four tests of the Planning Act, and that's how the members make a decision. Now, as far as the variances and changes, whatever changes he made here, we're going to be considering it and make a decision. So the two changes he made, I don't know how much difference does it make, and we'll see what the members are coming up with. Members, any question for this speaker? Mr. Tarodi?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question regarding variance number 4, mostly south side yard setback. Variance number 4 and also variance number 7. I appreciate an explanation.
Okay. Mr. Francisco de Sierra? Yeah, the agent, yeah. That's what she's, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, you're asking.
Hello. Yes, so if we could go back to slide, I can give you a better clarification. Let me just make sure I get my, I think it's page 4. Yes, thank you. Okay. So, so variance 4, just to make sure I'm hitting it correctly, it's on the south side. We're asking for 1.2 meters.
Yes.
Okay. So again, the challenge with this lot is the frontage and the performance. So the performance standard that's applied for a 22.5 frontage. So in order to get the driveway width there on that side, we left a little bit more room on the south side as opposed to the north. But we set the north side based off of what would be allowed in a 12 to 15 frontage. And if this were measured to a 12 to 15 frontage, we would only be asking for a 0.3 setback on the south. Unfortunately, we're not at that performance standard, and that's what this body is here to kind of alleviate. We're looking for relief because we have 40% less frontage than the minimum required. And there is provision in the bylaw that accommodates if your frontage is less than what's required, then that should be your minimum. But that does not transfer to other parts of the bylaw in terms of performance, the building standard to be applied. So we're caught in this middle ground where our lot is similar or smaller in frontage, but we have to comply with with a larger frontage. So it's challenging. So to make it as accommodating as possible, we put the driveway on that side, put the garage on that side, and we left a little bit of room. That being said, if you go to slide 8, I think it is, page 8, just to give some context. On the south side, the lot at 126 received the similar variance for side yard setback, and they don't have a building length issue. The blue annotation represents the letters of support. The red annotations represent letters of opposition, both for 271 and 275. So we're trying to make, it's a difficult lot to contend with, how to cross the frontage requirements and the implied building standards for that frontage, and still get respect other zonings that are in the area. So I don't know if I've answered your question. If there's something else I can answer, I'll try to, but that's how we handled this. We tried to give as much space to everybody.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Okay. If not, can I have a motion then, please? Anyone for a motion? Mr. Hunt?
Mr. Chairman, I'm very troubled with the recommendation from the planning department, who I have to assume was very involved in consideration of this application. I'm not sure if I would ask for a deferral so that we don't outright refuse it as per the recommendation of planning department, but possibly a deferral so that the applicant can go back to the department and seek their guidance on how to alleviate the dilemma they seem to see in the application. So
is your motion to
my motion, my motion would be to defer this for the purpose of the applicant going back to the planning department with a view to establishing a solution that would change their recommendation to refuse.
Do you have a second? There is no second for deferral, so can I have another motion there, please? Ms. Manning? We don't hear you.
I can't hear the deferral.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to second the deferral request.
Seconding deferral, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Oh, Mr. Khan, you're favoring the deferral? 3. Opposed? Ms. Atarodi is opposing, so 3 are gone for deferral. Mr. Hunt to defer Sunny Day in order to what? To go to the Planning Act and discuss again, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I meant fundamentally sine die.
Okay, thank you. All right, sir, your application is deferred sine die and to go to the Planning Act and resolve all any questions you have to change there. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is number 25, which is 104 Golfdale. And here we have Jonathan Benskowski. Jonathan Venskonsky.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Okay, hi. Again, I know who you are, but we need you to repeat the name and address for every application.
Yes, Jonathan Benskowski, 301 Keewatin Avenue.
Okay, so this is 25. It's a new dwelling. We have 4 variances. Staff report is asking for refusing number 1 and number 4. Councillor recommends refusal. Forestry condition and 8 letters of objection. So now, do you want to make a presentation and tell us what you want to do?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
Okay, please go ahead.
So yeah, if we could just scroll down a little bit onto the public notice, I'd like to make a couple of changes to the application. We're proposing to remove variance number 1, which is for the soft landscaping.
Okay, could you hold just a second, please? Okay, number 1, removed. Then?
Correct.
Okay.
Number 2 will remain as is. Variance number 3 is going to be reduced to 324.28 square meters, or 55% times the area of the lot. And variance number 4 is going to be reduced.
Okay, hold a second, please. Number 3.
Yes, sir.
Number 3, you want to change it
324.28.
324.28, okay.
Correct. Or 55%.
Yeah, next.
No, variance number 4 will be reduced from 7.61 meters to 6.69 meters.
Okay.
Okay, sir?
That's it. Okay, I got
Yes.
I marked them down here, okay. So you
Okay, if we could go.
You want to go ahead and make
Sorry,
a
sir.
presentation? I guess
Yes, please.
I guess we're
If we
talking
could go to the
at the same
support
time.
material.
Yeah, could you
The
please go
support
ahead
material
and,
I filed this morning. So just to address the issues of planning had an issue with the soft landscaping at the front. If we see that large tree, or where we just were, there's a very large tree in the front yard. As we see that there, what's happened is the whole driveway has had to been shifted to the east and curved around that. So the reason we have the wider point of the driveway is a pinch point just in front of the front main wall. Could we go to the support material I filed this morning, please? The additional materials. So what we've done on this site plan here is we've actually taken the portion. Yes, correct. If we could, on the little graphic in the bottom right, that shows the blown up driveway, please. Yes. So that's the driveway itself. If we look at which portions are beyond the 6 meters, it is essentially the portion just where it straightens out in front of the garage door. That curve there is in the effort to save the tree that is a municipal tree on the boulevard. We've also filed an arborist report saying that this separation, there will be an application to injure the tree, but it should be able to survive as per the arborist report that was submitted. If we could just zoom out again, please. So that's the variance relating to the driveway width. And keeping in mind, we have eliminated the the soft landscaping in the front yard, which was one of the concerns of planning that dealt with drainage. So on the property itself, we comply with the front yard landscaping. The next variance I'd like to address is the FSI. If we could just zoom in on the dwelling itself. The dwelling itself is basically a modest 14.23 meters in length. Permitted in this neighborhood is 17 meters. There is no request before the committee today for a reduction of side yards, really essentially, or height. The only request before you today for the built form of the dwelling is for 5 centimeter increase of the side main wall height. The massing, as it addresses Golfdale, is exactly as per the zoning bylaw. In terms of the letter from the councillor, requested basically a zoning notice because we did come under a waiver. What we have done is we have filed a zoning notice. Now that zoning notice will identify a 57.6, which would be the original FSI number. We have reduced that after conversations with the TPRA to 2.55. If we could just zoom out again, please, and go to the last page of my material. So what I've done here is we've taken the verified FSI massing on the left, and the public notice massing on the right. So in terms of what has led to the FSI calculation, the massing is identical at the streetscape. Basically, the difference is a deeper basement for the verified FSI massing, but the look and feel of the dwelling has never changed from the public notice that was mailed out. So in terms of any confusion as to how the dwelling would look, it has never changed. As we can see there, they're scaled. They are exactly identical. There is no change. If we could continue back up into the first floor, please. I would just like to note there was a deck projection is as per the zoning bylaw that we see there. That deck is permitted to be 2.5 meters from the rear main wall of the dwelling. There is no request for a reduction in that before you today. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. We'll be back to you. We have 3 more people registered to speak. Scott Stevens, are you there? Mr. Stevens, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you please state your name and address for us, please?
Sure. Scott Stevens, 46 Golfdale Road.
Okay. Can you please tell us what's your concern about this application, noting the changes that has been made? Okay.
Yes. The TPRA concerned initially about the FSI of the proposal. And in discussions I've had with Jonathan in the last 2 days, it has been reduced per our desire to 0.55. We still do have an issue, however, technically, with the fact that the current plans, the plans before the C of A, arrived this morning at, I don't know, 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And my planner, Terry Mills, who will speak after me, has not had time to review those plans. So while your new public notice indicates a variance of 0.55, which we're okay with, we have no way to verify that the plans you have respect that number. And Terry Mills, who will speak after me, has got a way that he thinks you can have a conditional approval that ensure that we'll have a building built substantially in accordance with plans that say 0.55. The other remaining concern that the residents had was the rear yard deck. Because of the fact that the first story on this building is so high, the first floor is so high because of it's got a garage that's at ground level in the front. That causes the deck in the back to be 10 feet high, and that causes privacy concerns for Alexander Dyke, who's on the east-hand side. His outside built-in porch is right opposite it.
Sir, we have Alexander listed here to speak. So can you speak for yourself? We don't have to.
Yes.
We don't have to do it twice because he's going to come up and speak too. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And so that's the only concern we have. The tree in the front is going to be dealt with by Toronto Forestry, I understand. And then I think Mr. Dyke is also going to talk about a window that is on his east side of the building. And then Terry Mills will speak to explain about the plan review.
Any questions?
That's all the comments I've got.
Thank you. Any question for the speaker? Okay, next speaker is Terry Mills. Are you there?
You hear me all right?
Your name and your address, please.
I appreciate. Yeah, my name is Terry Mills, and I live at 101 Roehampton Avenue, and I'm a planner, and I was retained by the Teddington Park Association in this matter.
Thank you. Tell us what is the concern.
Okay, well, basically, what we see is that there's been a fair number of waivers that have been used on this, and the plan has gone through some changes, you know, by the time you hear from Mr. Dyke, I think you'll find that people are fairly satisfied that we're going to arrive at something that is, you know, satisfactory to everybody. But the point would be that rather than having this matter deferred, is really, can we get a, set up the conditions within it so with an approval that, there's the opportunity to have the plans show accurately what is important there. Again, as mentioned, the concerns are really the how this deck works in terms of overview. There's the neighbor's concern on window, and then there's substantial concern about this tree in the front, which if you just slide down the drawing that you have up there, it shows you the tree protection zone for that tree, basically covers the whole of the property. Granted, there was already a single lane driveway with the existing house that's there. Some concern I have, if you just slide it back up again, was that in removing that first variance, slide it up just slightly more so we can see to the sidewalk on that plan. As much as they show an area as being the defined driveway, you'll notice that they also show paving stones between the tree and the driveway, which I presume is so that one can drive a car on it. So that technically is actually driveway area rather than being landscaped. But the real concern there is that this tree is a substantial tree, and don't wish to see the fine root structure that nourishes the tree, being replaced by the excavation and installation of pavers to support a car. So we'd really want to see that for sure that, the driveway is contained to the defined driveway area. And that would seem to be picked up, I guess, in the condition of satisfying the forestry department. And I must say, in terms of the pattern of circulation for vehicle, it probably makes sense that that's reviewed as well by the city's transportation department to make sure that's a workable solution. Would be good to have the decision attached to, a condition of being substantially in accordance with the plans. And that would require the plans to be updated to reflect the FSI, et cetera. And I'm suggesting at that point that it may make sense to say that, within 3 weeks, the applicant is to get a plan review done. So we're not dealing with waiver anymore. So that clarifies that. And he shows the changes to the satisfaction of Mr. Dyke to the east and to the association. That would be Scott Stevens. And in terms of the rear deck, really there, I think I can understand that it's been lowered by 3 steps. I can see the need to get a barbecue that's associated with the kitchen. But generally in this area, people use their backyard at grade as their outdoor sitting area. So it'd be important to keep that deck area as small as possible. As well, if this building were longer, it would be subject to the additional requirement that the deck would have to be set back from the property line equivalent to its height above the ground. And this case is not doing that. But I do think that, that can get worked out. And I know that the applicant has shown some response and flexibility in that area. We're not trying to, choke anything here. We just want to see how they can proceed as, a timely fashion. But meanwhile, that there's the assurance that the approval, is satisfactory to what is being discussed. If there'd been another couple of days, we probably could have had this all resolved prior to coming in here today to be heard. That's everything. Thank you.
Okay, you reached your 5 minutes. You're very good. Okay, any question for the speaker? No? Okay, next speaker. Next speaker is Alexander Dyke and Stephanie Curtis. Who once is there? Who's there in 4108 Golfdale? 108 Golf.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, your name and your address, please.
Sorry, if you can hear me, this is Alexander Dyke and Stephanie Curtis.
Yes.
We're the homeowners at 108 Golfdale.
We got you. So please tell.
And what we would sorry, my wife's just, sorry about this.
Yeah, I think
I don't think that works.
excuse me. I think we're talking at the same time. Could you hold 1 second? I got your name here, Alexander Deck and Stephanie Curtis. Could you? I got your address. Could you?
Yep.
Could you please tell us what's your concern about this application?
I think the concerns were twofold with regards to the privacy and sunlight. I think we're making good progress with the homeowners, and as Terry Mills suggested, if it's possible to have, I don't know what it's called, a conditional approval or whatever Terry described, to have a little bit more time just to clarify what our resolution is, I think we would be willing to support the proposal.
Keep going.
Are you there?
Yeah, keep going, please. I'm listening.
Yeah, like
That's
again, the only concern is that we have windows that look at each other, and the rear deck's elevation could affect our sunlight and privacy. I think I'd like to work with the homeowners to resolve that concern, and we appreciate their efforts already in that direction.
Okay, so you have a concern of deck elevation and the concern of okay. So I think that's all we have here. We go back to Mr. Golfdale. Mr. Jonathan. Mr. Benkovsky, could you please return and address those concerns?
Yes, I would just like to maybe address the issue with the tree. I'm not an arborist. I'm a professional planner. I would rely on the City of Toronto, as that is a municipal tree. Any condition imposed by the committee today, and I think it is number 1 and number 2 in the staff report, will require a permit from the City of Toronto. So I would leave it in the hands of the City of Toronto to judge whether or not there's an injury to that tree that is acceptable or unacceptable. As Mr. Mills very astutely said, the TPZ for this tree actually extends into the adjacent property to the east. So it really wouldn't permit any type of development on this property at all. So I would be happy with condition 1 and condition 2 be imposed as it is in the staff report from forestry. In terms of a conditional approval, I am not in favor of that. We have provided, if we go to page 5 of my support material, we provided a updated zoning notice. Yes, correct there. This updated zoning notice identified the FSI as 57.6% or 339.5 square meters. We have reduced it, as I mentioned previously, to 55% or 324.28 meters. I'm not sure what we need to verify. We basically just deducted the difference between the 339 and the 324, and that was done through reducing the building length from 14.58 meters to 13.93 that is before you today. So I'm fairly confident in what we're asking for, and if I were to be incorrect, that onus would fall on myself. I'm not even sure of the powers of the committee to grant a conditional approval based upon getting a zoning notice. I would, much like a waiver, I take responsibility for my work, and I take responsibility for a 0.55 FSI that is before you today. Other than that, again, the idea of the deck at that height is controlled by the projection from the rear wall. Any deck that is located 1.2 meters above grade at the rear can only project 2.5 meters from that rear wall. We do not project greater than 2.5 meters. That is an impact that is contemplated in the zoning bylaw just for this reason. So in terms of that rear deck, it is zoning bylaw compliant where it is. And again, it is built in line with the sidewall of the dwelling. I think other than that, there really wasn't much issue to impact in terms of the variances itself. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that the committee has.
Okay, thank you. Members, any question? Ms. Satarodi?
Yes, to you, Mr. Chair. I would like to get clarification that the site plan that the applicant referred to, does that site plan reflect the modification they did on the application today. For example, the variance number 3 and 4.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Terady, correct. That does identify the 55%, or sorry, the 0.55 FSI, as well as the elimination of variance number 1 and the reduction of variance number 4.
So that's an updated site plan.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Any other question? If not, could we have a motion, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you, sir. After listening to the explanation and representation of the application, now I have changed my mind, and I find variance number 1 has been deleted. Number 3 has been modified to 55%, and number 4 has been modified to 6.69. So it brings in the range of the application that I move this application be approved with forestry conditions.
Okay, can you go over the changes? Because number 4, I believe, says 6.6, not 6.9.
6.69.
Yeah.
Correct. 6.69, Mr. Chair.
6.6, yeah. Okay.
Okay, sir. Let me correct myself.
6.69.
Okay.
6.9.
6.66.
6.9.
Oh, that is what I was saying.
Just a second. The applicant just confirmed the 6.6.
9.
6.69. Yeah, not 6.9. 6.69. You're right. Okay, so that's one, and you said condition to forestry. Okay, second, please.
So, yes, if you let me, I would like to add a friendly amendment that if Mr. Khan accepts, we tie it to the site plan.
Okay,
Yes.
Mr. Khan, you're okay with the friendly
Yes, sir.
amendment?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodi. Thank you.
Seconded.
Okay, second, Mr. Rodi, and all in favor? Okay. Opposed? Mr. Hunt is opposing, and unanimous. I mean, the rest is approved, subject to those changes, and tied to the site plan.
Thank you, committee.
Okay. Yes. Yes, I was just about, members will have a 10-minute break, okay? I need to make some phone. have the two boys. Not there. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we resume our session. And the next item is number 26, which is 21 Almor Avenue. And here we have Joseph Mazzitelli. Are you there? Joseph Mazzitelli. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Could you please state your name and address for the records here?
Yes, Joseph Mazzatelli, 608 Oriole Parkway, Metaform Architects, Inc.
Thank you. So this one is a front and rear addition. Staff report recommends to refuse the application. Forestry condition number 2, and you have some supports, 3 letters in one petition. And yeah, there is concern about the coverage and the other one. So can you please make a presentation here and let us move on?
Yes. So prior to the letter from the city planner, we had already reduced the house size, and the drawing should be in the file.
Okay, so is that changing any variance?
Yes, so we'd like to remove variance 4.
Number 4 removed, okay.
Move variance 4, so the house will no longer be beyond the length.
Okay.
And we're also equal to and shorter than the neighbors.
Okay.
And we'd like to reduce variance 3.
Yeah.
Down to 41.9%.
I'm sorry, you're reducing number 3 to how much?
41.9%.
41.9%.
Yes. So I have submitted 3 other similar committee of adjustments approvals in the area, which are in that range. And item 1 and 2, those variances are minor, and they're basically there because it's an existing dwelling, and they're very small in nature. We have support of the 3 neighbors immediately close to us. The owner has approached all the neighbors. And I find that the variances that we do have are minor in nature, and there's no adverse conflict with any of the other properties. So I find this to be appropriate and reasonable, and we hope that you accept the reductions. And incidentally, the owner is willing to make it slightly smaller if you so wish.
Okay, so let's see with this change, 41.9% seem to be still high, but let's see what the members are saying.
Yes, well, sorry, you've seen before you today coverages of about 55%, so it's more than 30, but I believe it to be reasonable.
Well, okay, well, I'm glad you think so, so let's see. Members, any question? He is removing number 4 and reducing number 3 to 41.9%. Any question? Any question? Yeah, Miss Manning?
Can you just provide more information on what's in keeping with this neighborhood in terms of the 41.9%? You said the neighbors. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, so I submitted 3 other decisions that were in that range, 42 and 44%. And as I said, the neighbors do not object to this. I guess this lot is slightly shorter than possibly some of the others. But we're willing to accept 40 or 41 or 42%. And I believe the owners are going to be living in this house, and it's a growing family, so they would like to see percent in that area. Once again, we have no side yard variances, we have no rear yard variances, we have no height variances. We're in keeping with the neighborhood. It's a big improvement, but the percent works out to be that nature.
Any other question? Okay, any other question, members? If no question, maybe can I have a motion then? Ms. Manning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application. I agree with the applicant that two of the variances are very minor, and I think the other variance meets the 4 tests, and there's no conditions.
And the changes, you want to go over to changes? You removed number
Sorry,
4.
yes. So removal of variance number 4 and reducing variance number 3 to 41.9%.
And forestry, right?
And also, Ms. Manning, there is a forestry conditions.
Yeah.
Okay, and forestry as well.
Okay, thank you. So the motion is to approve, remove number 4, reduce number 3 to 41.9%, and forestry. Second, you have a second? Mr. Hunt is seconding. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Tarodi is opposing. Okay, sir, your application is approved, subject to those 2 changes you made and subject to forestry.
Thank you.
Application number 27, which is 278 Sandringham, application number 27. And here we have Dominica Rosiazo Sitko. Are you there?
Yes, good afternoon. Could you hear me?
Yeah, could you please state your name and address, please?
Yes. My name is Dominica Coviazo Sitko from Dom Design Group Limited, 44 Gladsmore Crescent, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, so this is for additions and a patio. We have 2 variances. Yes. The staff report is modifying per your applicant. There's modification. Could you please go over the modification that you made to the planning and go variance per variance?
Yes, so as per staff recommendation, we reduced the variance number 2, where the proposed roofed patio was reduced in depth from 4.52 meters to 3.96 meters, which is pretty much what's happening in the neighborhood. And as a result of this, the percentage was reduced from 7.58 to 6.5.
Okay.
So this correction was done.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. Now, you're changing number 2, you said?
Yes.
To how much?
Basically from to 6.5%. So it gives us 1.08% smaller.
It said the proposed non-encroaching platform and canopy over 7-point lot area. So that's the only change you make, right? Number 2?
Yes, because this is the only change which creates the issues.
Okay, in the calculation, no more than 5%. Okay. Okay. Members, any question? There is no condition here, just the change of number 2, variance number 2, from 7.58 to 6.5. So, if no, can I have a motion then, please? Ms. Satarodi?
Yeah. Yes, to you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with one modification, that the variance number 2, the proposed non-encroaching platform and canopy cover is 6.5% of the lot area.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's the motion with no
That's
other
it.
conditions.
Thank you. And Ms. Manning is seconding. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, your application is unanimous, subject to that change you made to number 2, to variance number 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, number 28, which is 4362 Bathurst Street. And this we have Adrian Letavsky. Are you there?
Yes, I am, sir. Can you hear me?
Hello, we don't hear you. Can you please speak up?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, now we hear you. Could you please state your name and your address, your own address, please?
Yes, indeed. My name is Adrian Letavsky. My planning firm is Johnston Letavsky Limited, and our address is 235 Lakeshore Road West, East rather, Suite 202 in Oakville.
Thank you. So we have here, this is a retail financial building with financial institution, the bank, which the bank is not permitted. You have 4 variances, but we got the latest transportation report recommending to deferral for more information. Are you aware of that? And could you tell us what you know about it?
Well, I am aware of transportation's comments, and I was hoping to have the opportunity to respond to them. And I'm glad that you have up on the screen a revised site plan that we filed this morning in response to Transportation Services memo. And if I could just dive right into it, sir, I can go about why we think we can proceed. And but in proceeding, we would be seeking to change 2 of the variances, and this change would respond directly to what Transportation Services has said in their memo. So to start, what we will be asking is to change the variance number 4 regarding loading from to request a change to 0 loading spaces as noted in the transportation memo that would, under as per their calculations, they do not believe we need a loading space. And secondly, we would be changing variance number 3 to a request to provide 14 rather than 13 parking spaces, because we could provide 1 more by converting the loading space to a parking space. And to go into why we're suggesting these changes is that in the transportation memo, we note that they do not provide any objection to the application. They note, however, that the variances we are requesting fall out of the requirements of the old City of North York bylaw 7625, and Transportation Services position is that these parking requirements are in fact outdated, and they instead look to the parking requirements set out in bylaw 89-2022, which put in place new parking standards for the City of Toronto. And under those new parking standards, we would not actually be required to provide any parking, and even though we are in fact, of course, proposing to provide 14 spaces now. And under these new standards as well, we would only need to provide, we would not need to provide any loading space. And so therefore, given this observation of transportation and the fact that they have not mentioned any objection. Instead, they were asking for some clarification regarding, particularly, specifically, since we were showing a loading space, even though Transportation Services acknowledged no, in their opinion, we did not need it, but since we were showing the space, they wanted a little bit more information on how a truck might move into or out of that space. I note that kind of question is typically addressed during the site plan approval stage, but given that Transportation Services is of the mind that they don't believe we need the loading space, we're happy to remove that and instead provide one more parking space and improve that particular variance. Those are really the main points there. In terms of the other variances that we're asking for in terms of use, it's a perfectly reasonable request. Retail uses and other similar commercial uses are permitted. Financial use is really not at all out of keeping with what is generally seen in this area and in the zone. And lastly, there is a site-specific retail, minimum space for retail. And this, that standard actually falls out of a previous development approval that is now, I do believe, 11 years old, where there was a site-specific approval for a 8-story mixed-use building, which never proceeded. And in that particular proposal, once again, 11 years ago, there was a very specific amount of retail proposed. And then we're requesting a relief from that minimum requirement in order to allow this site to in fact develop for this use today and to allow this, minimum use of retail space to proceed. I believe those are the key points I wanted to address. And so instead of transportation staff's recommendation that, they're asking for a deferral in order to get a little bit more information, I suggest to you that with these changes, we acknowledge Transportation Services' own calculations as to what they believe is actually needed on the site. We reflect that. And it actually for more information moot. So I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have and take it from there.
Okay. Now, I have to admit, I'm a little bit confused. Now, you mentioned this, we're happy to remove it, we're happy to do this. Are you making any changes to the 4 variances that we have right now?
I'm suggesting that we change variance number 4 to allow no loading spaces.
Yeah, just tell us you're changing it to what before you explain it. What you're changing it to?
From instead of asking for 1 loading space, we're asking for no loading space.
Mr. Chair, he can't do that.
A minimum of 2 times of loading space shall be provided with minimum difference. Okay, this is, you have to provide 2. This is only the variance is only for the measurements, and
the variance says he's requesting 1 on a public notice. He's requesting 0, so he's making it worse.
Yeah.
So either he deletes it or it stays as 1.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't make the variance worse unless we recirculate the notice.
Yeah. Are you
well, I'm making the suggestion, actually. I was under the impression that the committee under Section 45 could make any change, but I'm making the request. I think it's a reasonable request.
The committee cannot make a change that violates the provision of public notice. The public notice says 1.
Yeah, we can't change the requirement. The question is, are you leaving number 4 or you want to remove it?
Number 4 is no. We would be proposing they work together by allowing no loading spaces. That allows us to provide 14 parking spaces rather than 13.
It said here, a minimum of 2 type of loading spaces shall be provided with a minimum blah blah. So you say you don't want any loading space or move it, change it to 1?
No, is that right now the request is where it says 2 type C loading spaces are to be provided. And right now, we're asking that one be provided.
No, he doesn't.
And
He didn't say, no, he didn't say that you want, it said the minimum is required. So the two loading spaces are required. Is that correct, Mr.?
yeah, that's it. I agree with you there. I agree that's what the zoning provision is. And whereas currently our variance is asking for one, I'm suggesting to you that we change that to 0. And then what that will allow us to do by freeing up that loading space, we can now in variance 3 by 14 parking spaces rather than 13.
Yeah,
Through you, Mr. Chair, you can't make the
No.
variance worse without recirculating the notice.
Yeah,
It's improper notice at this point.
Yeah, you can't take one variance on the expense of another one in order to arrange the other one. There are two variances here. One is the number 3 number of parkings, and one is loading spaces, which are required to. Now, tell us what you want change in terms of this here, but the one you're suggesting, I don't think it works. And staff agrees with that. You can't change it. You can't change what's required just because you want to change number 3.
No, but actually that's, well, I take your direction there. Personally, I was under the impression that you are able to make the change. I understand that it may be the city's convention to request it, but we're acting on staff's suggestion. Loading space is not required. And so if you are suggesting that we are not even allowed to request that, which I'm a little surprised. And we can perhaps come back either whatever the quickest situation is to whether it's quicker to issue new notice. The reality is that my client was certainly very eager to have this resolved today, mainly because they are, of course, have certain obligations with the future proposed tenants that we were hoping to get this approval in place to allow those obligations to be met. But, we are, of course, at the end, at the mercies of the city's process, and we're here to work with you to satisfy the city's needs as well.
Yeah, that's it. If number 3 was changed to the number of parking spaces, that's acceptable. We can allow it, but the other one, no. So what you're suggesting, do you want to defer it?
Well, I would ask you that when the next hearing is that the staff believes we can make it.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Through you, Chair. I'm sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Could staff perhaps advise when we might be able to come back to the committee with these changes?
We can't decide this on here. If we defer it, you're going to have to work with them when it's available. So they will advise you. We can't make it here as a condition or decide on the time. Is that correct, Mr. Chair,
As usual, all of our deferrals are sine die. I don't know when the applicant can get clarification about this. What I'm saying is you cannot make a variance worse without recirculating the public notice. It's akin to an applicant coming and wanting to make the house taller at the hearing when notice said it was 10 meters and they're asking now 11 meters. We didn't give proper notice. By reducing variance 4 to 0, you're actually making the variance worse because 2 is required at this point.
We already said that, and he accepts this. The question is, he wants a date for the next one, which we cannot give him. So
we can put him on as soon as possible once he satisfies the reason for the deferral.
Very good. So the staff is suggesting they're open to give you the first one, but we can't. They can't commit to the date right now. So you want to defer? We're going to defer it. Okay. So the other I just had it. Okay. Members, there is a suggestion here to defer it sine die, so they can go. Miss Manning, yeah, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, motion to defer sine die.
For the applicant to discuss.
For the applicant to be able to discuss with planning and possibly amend some of the variances.
Very good. Second, Ms. Satarodi, all in favor? Mr. Hantu, okay. So thank you, Mr. Okay, your application is deferred sine die. Check with the planning and check when the staff, when it's available for back, to come back.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Bathurst. Okay. Uh, 146, that was deferred, right? 146 was deferred. And now we're in number 30, is that correct? Okay, application number 30, which is 36 Danville Drive, application number 36. And here we have Hussein Iftikhari. Are you there?
Yes, I am here, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you very well. Could you please state your name and address, please?
My name is Hussein Iftikhari, and my address is 319 Elmwood Avenue, Richmond Hill, Ontario.
Excellent, thank you. So good, who wants 1 second? We have here the two variants, new two-story building, 4 variances, and I understand there is a staff report which indicates that you made a change to variance number 2, and we have forestry. Could you please confirm what changes you made to variance number 2?
The variance number 2, the main wall height reduced from 8.2 meter to 7.96 as per our communication and
yes,
direction from the staff report.
Yes,
the planning staff.
Yes, that's the notes I have. Changed to 7.96. Any other change? No. Condition number 2?
No.
Okay, members, we have here.
Yeah.
Okay, now I see you. Okay, so for number 30, we have 4 variances. Staff report recommends to follow the changes per applicant, which is changing to 7.96, and we have no person recorded here. Do we need a presentation or we just move on? Just a second. No presentation. Okay, sir, we don't need a presentation here. Do you want to make any comment before we go to the committee?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
You're fine. Thank you. Ms. Satarodi, please go ahead.
Yes. Yes, I'm ready to put forward a motion through you, Mr. Chair. My motion will be to approve this application with 1 modification, variance number 2. The height of side exterior main wall is now 7.96 meter and subjected to urban forestry.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Khan, seconding. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, sorry, application is approved, subject to the change you made and subject to forestry.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, now, number 31, which is 126 Santa Barbara, application number 31. And here we have Nazli Dilaves. Are you there?
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Your name and your address, please.
My name is Nazli Delavis. My address is 175 Henderson Avenue. I'm the agent and architect for 126 Santa Barbara Road property.
Okay, so we have here the new dwelling. We have 7 variances. Staff report, just a small recommendation, small condition to build per east and west elevation drawings. Forestry have condition, 1 letter of objection, but transportation recommends to defer for more information. Are you aware of that, and what's the story?
Yes. So for the planning, we've made that adjustment for the side elevation. So we've kind of accepted the recommendation from the planning, and that was reported. And for transportation, there was a comment about the curb cut location. We have also provided the revised site plan to show the curb cut. And for that supporting document that they requested, we have provided the revised site plan to show the proposed curb cut. We have also noted in the drawings that portion of existing access drivers that are no longer required will be restored and closed. And we will obtain all the required permit requirements from the transportation services. So the variance is very minor from 6 meter, from 5.8 to 6 meter, and we've also provided the revised site plan for that.
Okay, so you mean the revised change was after they made the recommendation to defer?
So we got the letter on the 22nd. On the same day, revised. We provided the revised.
So you did provide it. Okay. So
yes.
I don't have anybody else here. The 7 variances, yeah, they're minor, but let's see what the members are saying. Members, do we have? There's nobody listed here. The variances they seem to be minor. There's condition of forestry, and staff report has only a condition to developer east and west, blah, blah, blah. So, are you...
Which we have done. Sorry, we have provided that elevations as well.
Yeah. Well, okay, well, they say to developer east and west side elevation drawings, you said you provided it. So,
yes.
Members, if you have any question, can I have a motion then, please? Ms. Satarodi?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with only one staff condition, that the proposal be developed in accordance with the east and west side elevation drawing submitted to the city on March 14, 2023, attachment 1 and 2, and also subjected to urban forestry memo.
Okay, yeah, they have condition 2 and 3. Second.
And transportation letter, and also I can subject it to transportation letter since the applicant mentioned that they already fulfill that requirement.
That's a very good, yeah, because she said she submitted already the change, but as far as we're concerned, you want to make it subject to transportation, right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, second. Ms. Manning, seconding, all in favor? Mr. Hantu? Thank you. Okay, so your application is approved, subject to that condition of the staff, then forestry and transportation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 32, which is 141 Moore Park Avenue, application number 32. And here we have Sam Arashte.
Hello, hi, my name is Sam Araste from Ara Design Engineering, property address 4789 Young Street, Unit 401.
Thank you. Yeah, we have here, this is for a 6 variances, including a 3-story. Staff report is asking to remove variances per applicant and built per east and west elevation drawing and condition number 1. Now, first of all, could you please go over the changes that you made? You said regarding variance number 5 and 6.
Yes, so after we have applied for zoning review and even after we have applied for committee of adjustment, there has been a change in the definition of by law for the basement and first story. So our building and our design became a 3-story building because our basement was higher than the...
Excuse me, before you explain anything, could you just tell us the change you're making?
So the building is going to be 2-story, no more 3-story, and the balcony is going to be less than 4 meters.
Again, without explaining, could you just please tell me, are you removing 4, 5, and 6?
Yes.
Okay, so number 5 and number 6 are removed, is that correct?
Yes.
Any other change?
No other changes.
No. Now you can go and explain whatever you want.
So the other item that I would like to add is the sidewall height of 9 meters. This is just for the front portion of the building, and which is 5% of the sidewalls, and the 95% of our sidewalls is going to have 7.5 meter height. So our neighbors are not going to be affected with this, and the coverage of less than 32% is approved within the area for more than 5 or 6 properties.
Are you finished?
If you have any question,
okay, yeah,
I would be happy to answer.
Well, before that, we have another person listed here. Patricia and David Davis. Patricia Davis and David Davis. Are you there? Patricia and David Davis.
Yeah.
Okay, can you
Yeah.
please state your name and address, please?
And I just heard that the country is surprisingly stunning. Like it's apparently just beautiful, and so you get to see these big.
Excuse me, who is talking now? I asked for Patricia Davis or David Davis. Anyone there by this name? They're not there? Okay, all right. Okay, so members, there is no more speakers. All we have here is the application you heard with number 5 and 6 being removed, and there is the staff condition and forestry. So, Ms. Tarodi, you have a question or a motion? Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with the following changes. Variance number 5 and 6 eliminated, and also would like to add the staff condition that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the revised east and west elevation drawing submitted to city on 13th of March 2023, report 1 and 2, and also subjected to urban forestry.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Hunt is seconding. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, so, sir, your application is unanimously approved, subject to those changes and conditions, okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay, number 33 was deferred, and now it's 34. Okay, number 34, hold a second. Number 34, which is 369 Millwood, application number 34. And here we have Addison Mine Price. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Can you please just state your name and address first, please?
Yes, my name is Addison Milne Price. I'm a planner at Design Plan Services at 900 The East Mall, Suite 300.
Okay, I saw in the documentation a letter dated January 13 that you're asking for a deferral.
That was for the previous hearing. This application was deferred on January 19th.
Okay, so you're not asking for deferral anymore?
No, we are not asking for a deferral. Public notice has been adequately given. The reason for the deferral was because a new variance number 3, was detected.
Okay.
A new public notice needed to be issued to satisfy the requirements of public notice.
Okay. Now, as per staff report, They say variance number 1, you're changing it, and variance number 2, you're changing. Could you tell us what changes, please, you're making to the application?
Yes, absolutely. So the overall height of the dwelling, that variance, which was previously variance 1, has been removed.
Okay.
In addition,
excuse me, variance number 1 removed. Okay, next.
Sorry, I would like to be clear. I'm explaining the difference between the previous public notice and the public notice that is in front of us today. That are the variances that are currently requesting. In between the hearing on January 19th and the hearing today.
Could you hold 1 second, please? We have here the notice in front of me here. It said that you 32. Oh no, that's number 34. Hold 1 second. Okay, give me just 1 second. Okay, we have the current application. It said here there is a variance number 1, and you said this one is removed?
No, the public notice that is in front of us today represents the variances that we are requesting.
Okay, so what changes are you making?
We aren't making any changes to the public notice in front of us today. However, there were changes from the previous hearing as per the planning staff's recommendation. We have satisfied all of their recommendations, including removing the variance for overall height and reducing the variance for the maximum height of the side walls from what was previously 9.33 meters to what is now 8.62 meters as on the public notice.
Okay, so the one we have in front of us is the one that they were talking about. You had variance number, you're asking 9.78 is no longer there.
That is correct.
Okay, all right, so please go ahead. There is no changes, so please make your presentation and we'll see what we have here.
Absolutely. Now, the maximum height for the side exterior main walls is 7.05, whereas the proposed height is 8.62 meters. Yeah. This represents a difference of 1.62 meters. Okay. Please note that there's no variance associated with the overall height requirement, which demonstrates that the height is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood and will have little to no impact further than what is already contemplated by the zoning bylaw. There have also been a number of approvals for similar and greater exterior main wall heights within the neighborhood context, which I won't go through for the sake of time now, but I'm happy to go through if requested later. Now, variance 2 pertains to the proposed building depth. The maximum building depth is 17 meters, whereas the proposed building depth is 18.04 meters. Okay. This represents a difference of 1.0 meters from what is permitted as of rights. However, in this case, it is important to note that the actual length of the proposed dwelling from the front main wall to the rear main wall will be 17 meters. This variance was triggered in part because the building depth is measured as the distance from the required front yard setback to the rear main wall. To be more specific, this variance is essentially the result of the adjacent dwelling's front yard setback, not necessarily the length of the dwelling, which I will reiterate is 17 meters. In other words, if the adjacent dwelling to the east had the same front yard setback as the proposed dwelling, this variance would not be required. This is because the method of determining the required front yard setback is based on the average of both adjacent front yard setbacks. Since the adjacent property to the east has a significantly smaller front yard setback than the proposed dwelling, the required front yard setback of the proposed dwelling is moved closer to the street or further from the rear main wall. Now, the last variance, variance 3, pertains to the integral garage. A vehicle entrance through the front main wall of a residential building, such as an integral garage, is not permitted in this zone, whereas the proposed dwelling features an integral garage. Now, Well, the bylaw essentially states that integral garages are prohibited in this area. There is a mechanism to permit integral garages in this zone by way of minor variance application. It is through this exact mechanism that some of the already existing integral garages were approved and constructed in the past few years. For instance, 26 Harwood Ave, 245 Manor Road, and 256 Major Road, just 2 blocks away, were approved for this exact variance last year. It should also be noted that the existing curb cut will be replaced. The total amount of Orange Street parking will not be reduced. On the contrary, this proposal will provide an increase in the amount of overall parking supply because the existing dwelling currently does not have a front yard parking pad, whereas parking will be now possible on the driveway and on the new garage. It should also be noted that the transportation staff have not indicated any concerns with this variance, as indicated in the report dated March 22nd. Specifically, transportation staff note in the report, and I quote, that a vehicle entrance through the front wall will not impact the overall function of the site from a transportation perspective. Based on this provided justification, I'm of the opinion this application meets the 4 tests prescribed under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you. Yeah, we don't have any other person listed here. And members, do we have any question? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm wondering if the applicant referred to a transportation report. I have not seen that. Perhaps other members have seen it, but I don't have anything that tells me that they are supportive of variance 3.
My notes, maybe it's wrong, but my notes show that transportation is okay to approve. That's a new one, huh? That's the latest one, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, do you have recommendations there, yeah? I can't read it from here.
Yes, I see that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. So you're okay, Mr. Hunt?
Yes, sir. I have also marked.
Yes, I am.
Just a second, just a second. We're with Mr. Hunt first. He was in the middle of.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just read it on the screen and I'm satisfied
So you're okay
with their
with that?
position.
Okay, Mr.
Yes.
Khan, Mr. Khan, you have a question?
No, sir, I'm okay too. I have the report.
You saw the report. Okay, yeah, I have it, the same thing here. All right, so if there is no more question, can I have a motion then, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After having looking at variants 1, 2, and 3 and the report from the Transport Service, I'm satisfied that this is a minor variances and it should be approved with forestry conditions.
Thank you. And
thank you, sir.
Thank you. And second? Can I have a second? Mr. Hunt seconding, all in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Sir, your application is approved unanimously, subject to forestry.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, now we have 35. Application number 35, which is 539 DELORAINE, application number 35. 35, which is, and here we have David Bronscale. Are you there?
I am here, Mr. Chair. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we hear you okay. Just before we move on, it said here transportation recommends deferral for more information. Do you have anything about transportation?
Sorry, I checked the application information center. When is that memo dated? Sorry?
Here,
It's gracious. I'm not sure we've seen that memo, sir.
You haven't seen it, huh?
No.
Yeah, do you want the time to read it?
If it's a request for a deferral, sir, we would prefer, you may recall this has been deferred once, sir.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have
Yeah, it was deferred.
retained an engineer.
Yeah, it was deferred in
Yeah.
November 24.
That's right.
Was deferred, yeah. 11 variances. Staff report received for information only. Staff recommend the committee make.
I'm aware of the planning staff report, and there's a condition from planning that we're accepting of.
Yeah, for planning, the planning is requesting to subject to you going to the technical waters review.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, I got it. Now the question is, do you want to read the transportation before? Yeah, because if we want to see why they're asking for deferral, and if it's very important, we'll discuss it. If not, we'll move on. So you can read that. Yeah. So we're gonna stand it down for a few minutes, okay? And let you read the report. In the meantime, we go to number 36, which is.
And sir, I have no.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I have no issue with that. I am literally on the application information center right now, and I do not see a March 21, 2023 transportation report requesting a deferral.
Well, I'm not surprised. We got so many reports lately. Just a couple days ago, we got tons of them, and today we got some more. So if you want to read it and come back within 15 minutes, 20 minutes, then we'll finish the other application.
And sorry, Mr. Chair, I apologize for intruding still. Could I ask, is it possible that staff could email it to me? Because I can't download it because it's not on the AIC.
Okay, so the staff agreed to email.
Thank you. I heard that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Okay. I'll stop intruding now.
Perfect. No, it's okay. You're close to the end here, so we're okay. All right, so we have number 36, which is 19 Woodcliffe Place, application number 36. And for number 36, we have here Ali Malek Zadeh. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Hi.
My name is Ali Malik Zadeh.
Okay, 36.
I'm representing this application.
Okay, this is a new dwelling. This was deferred in March 21, boy. And we have 6 variances.
2 years ago.
Yeah, we have 6 variances. TRCA has no objection, just the permit required, which is normal. And documentation letter objection, that was from before. And forestry number 1. So we have one more speaker here, therefore we need you to make a short presentation.
Mr. Chair, the other speaker is not present.
Oh, he's not?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, Mr. Malik Zadeh, we have 11 variances. I was questioning the lot coverage from 30% to 37.85. So could you please make a short presentation and let the members ask questions?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say that there is no 11 variances. We have overall of 6 variances in this new notice. And the coverage is not a variance. I don't know.
36. 36, new dwelling. Oh. 36. Okay, 35 is the one. Mr. Malik Zadeh?
Yes.
It's my mistake. I was looking at the one we just stopped. Your application is yes, it was deferred in March 21. You have 6 variances, and that's it. And forestry number 1. So could you please make a small presentation? And I hear that there is nobody in waiting to talk. So just make a small presentation, and we'll move on.
No problem. In 2 years ago, the application was front of the committee was with the same almost variances, but the front setback was less than what we're proposing now, and then that was the reason it was deferred at that time. So in this new application, we revised the front setback and we improved that to what planning department was suggesting. We are building doing the construction of the new house on the footprint of the existing in order to satisfy the TRCA. We still within the protection zone of the ravine as per TRCA, but they don't have any objection because we are proposing exactly the same location as previous existing building, except to the north and then the front. The reason that we are asking for this front yard setback is, again, because of the impact of TRCA to the design, and then we just need to get a little bit more square footage, and then that's the only place that we can get this as a front, and then the north side of the property. The first variance is related to the windows that we have. We comply with the main wall height in most of the elevations. The 2 variances, number 5 and then 6, they are all related. Is a technical variance for the TRCA, and the side yard setback is the south side, which is existing side yard setback that we are keeping in this new proposal. If there is any question, I can answer.
Thank you. Members, there is no more speaker on this application. Any question? No? Okay, if no question, can I have a motion then, please? Miss Tarodi was first. Please go ahead.
Yes, to you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application. I'm satisfied that this application is minor and it meets 4 tests with no condition.
Thank you. And second, Miss Manning, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, thank you, sir. Your application unanimously approved, and this you said there is no conditions, right? Huh? Was there forestry there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we go back to 35. Hopefully he's ready.
Hi, Mr. Chair. Thank you to staff for sending the report.
Okay, you're there. Okay. So what's the verdict?
Sir, we'd like to continue today, and I'm not quite sure. I wish transportation had maybe got in touch with us. It's report, sir. It says at the end, transportation services defer comments on the requested variances until the required materials. It's strange. They're not actually asking for a deferral. They're just indicating that they're deferring their comments. But I'm not quite sure, sir. And and sir, it's a bit frustrating because we have had, through our client, retain an engineer, Michael Pluis, who filed an engineering report with you that's gone through the driveway in an extensive amount of detail. I think the most important thing, sir, though, is it's an existing condition. And so transportation staff are now asking again for additional information they didn't request the first time. And we're keeping the driveway, sir. And maybe if I could ask committee staff, the presentation that was filed, we put together some slides to try and demonstrate this so the committee could see it. And in particular, the last slide of the presentation, because we are not introducing a new condition through the application. Sorry, it was the one above, if I could ask staff just to flip up. That's the one. Thank you.
So I'll see.
You see on the right?
So we'll see.
Yes,
what,
Mr. Chair.
Excuse me, hold 1 second. We'll see what the members are saying. If they agree, if they say it's subject to transportation, would that create you a problem?
There's a condition from planning, Mr. Chair, that requires us to go through a technical review with Toronto Water. I think that, sir, is going to cover off everything, and we're accepting of that condition from city planning staff.
Well, that is there. We have to accept it. The question is about transportation. Who recommends deferral? If the members agree to put it transportation subject to transportation, what would that create?
My issue, sir, is I don't know what that condition says. And so I'm nervous that it's a condition ultimately that my client couldn't satisfy. Whereas I know what the Toronto Water technical review process is. That's what Michael Pluis has retained. That process is a good objective process we can go through. And that's why, sir, that's a condition that I understand and can recommend to the client. I'm a little nervous about just making it to the satisfaction of transportation services when I'm nervous about being able to clear that condition when I've got an existing driveway.
Okay, I understand you don't want it to be deferred because it was deferred only one time. Let's see what the members are saying. When you finish,
Thank you, sir.
So finish your presentation and let's get questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so the image on the screen, I think, is really helpful to understand, I think, the frustration on our side. So the photo on the right is obviously the existing front elevation. That's a photo from the street. You can see the existing garage, the existing sloped driveway, and the stairs leading up to the front elevation. What's on the left is the proposed front elevation. And with some tweaks, you can see the window patterns are changed. But with some tweaks, it really is the same house, the same driveway, the same orientation for the house that's being proposed. And so everything is being kept as is. The transportation services comments, unfortunately, if they were taken through to their logical conclusion, would in fact require either a demolition or would require the house, in fact, to be increased in terms of its height. And we'd prefer not to, and that frankly would likely result in a demolition. It'd be a fairly extensive intrusion onto the site to have to take this driveway out. And we would prefer just to keep the front elevation as it is and build then the larger house in behind. The other slides that were done earlier in the package, pages 4, 5, and 6, what the architects actually did, and thank you to staff for just showing the committee, I appreciate it. What the architects were able to do is actually show in green how the existing house is being maintained in terms of the walls, and then how in a few places there are bump outs, but that by and large what is existing is being used as part of the house. So there's a ground floor plan, which is probably really helpful. The stairs you can see at the top. The porch is a little bit of an extension of the porch, and then those windows are bumped out a little bit that you saw in the front elevation. But otherwise, much of the house is remaining as it is. And so we think it's an existing condition. We think the involvement of the engineer retained by our client is going to result in an improvement because the safety considerations, the water runoff considerations will be addressed now in a way that they probably weren't when this driveway was initially approved a number of years ago. So in fact, we think there will be an improvement, but it really is an existing condition that we're simply asking to recognize as part of reusing the house. So I'm happy to take questions if the committee has any concerns, but we do think approval with the condition recommended by planning should cover off any concerns.
Okay, thank you for helping us. Members, any questions? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sir, my question through you is, how come this particular thing wasn't picked up in the initial stages of approval? And now it has brought before the committee when the thing has been done. And I was reading the report that it can be remedied through a solution which is given in the attached pages. Now, my dilemma is that staff has recommended that it should go to the Toronto Water Technical Review Board, which is the right direction to go. But again, we have Transportation Services asking us through their letter of March 21st to defer the whole thing. Why should we defer it? What is the difficulty of deferring it and coming back with sign and die later on?
Two reasons, sir. One, I'm going to say through you, Mr. Chair, it's manifestly unfair when our client has done so much work already reviewing this with planning staff and Toronto Water staff for transportation staff to come in again at this late hour. I didn't get this memo until 15 minutes ago. That's prejudicial and manifestly unfair. And if we defer again, my client is left waiting again. Secondly, sir, the driveway is legal. It's approved. This is not, I just want to be very clear, it's an existing condition that was approved previously. So it's a legal existing driveway. And we're just keeping a legal existing driveway. And we're reusing the existing house, front elevation, and walls. So the existing condition that's on the street today, which is legal and approved, will be the condition that's existing on the street tomorrow, should the committee approve it. So there's really no reason for a deferral. The most important aspect of this is the Toronto Water part, ensuring that there's an appropriate approach to drainage, to stormwater, which our client takes seriously and has an engineer retained to deal with that, and that reports with you. And we accept the technical review process that would have to be imposed. We think that's a good condition. But a deferral, frankly, doesn't advance this any further. Just delays it more for our client when it's a condition that's legal and exists today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
As far as the staff report, they just said to approve it, subject to the applicant going to the Toronto Water Technical Review. That's all. It doesn't mean not to approve it. So, any other question? Mr. Han, did you have your hands up? No. Or you just say hello? Okay.
I'm ready to make a motion. I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, good. Okay, so he's the first one. Please make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have reviewed the applications. I have listened to the applicant, and inasmuch as that driveway was previously approved, it is an existing condition. I can't think any reason why it would have to be changed. I am going to move approval of this application subject only to the planning report, which requires any approval include the condition that requiring application for a Toronto Water Technical Review for reverse slope driveway, and that the proposed driveway receive approval by Toronto Water. Okay. And that's my motion.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Manning, seconding. All in favor? Opposed? Ms. Attardi is opposing, but your application, sir, is approved, subject to only the staff report recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate everybody's tolerance this late in the day, too.
That's okay. You're the last one. we're happy to finish it today. So, members, can I have a motion to terminate? Mr. Khan first. Terminate. Second, Ms. Manning. All in favor? If you want to stay here, you can stay. Okay, so
Okay.
unanimous is to terminate is 5 what? 5
15.